Hello, welcome to this Ragic webinar wherever you are and whatever time zone this is. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon to basically everyone, every Ragic user around the world. Welcome to this Ragic webinar, and I'm Fabio. I'll be talking about the applications and the settings of the fields. I'll be targeting about the fields in this webinar. And as you know, or you may have not known yet, but basically all your data is organized in the fields on your sheets when you are basically processing your data. And in Ragic, there are many different field types and applications that you can do with your fields. I'll show you what you can do with most of the, basically all the key Ragic fields that are very useful and handy for you to store data. And in the meantime, let's just wait for a few minutes to allow more users to join. And right now you can also ask me any questions if you like, and I'll provide you answers. Or if you think your question is a bit more in detail, feel free to click on the Need Help button located on the top right corner of your screen and submit a support ticket to us, and our friendly Ragic support staff will answer your tickets as soon as possible. Also, a great hello to user Sam Miller and user Musa Quasi. I apologize if I do not pronounce your name correctly. And feel free to contribute if you would like to during the webinar, or ask me any questions if you would like. Regarding the servers, of the location of the servers of your Ragic data will be stored on Google servers, which are located in, for the Asia Pacific region, it's in Taiwan. For the European region, it's located in Belgium, and for the North America or the America region will be located in the United States. And alternatively, if you want to basically store your data on your own servers, there's also an on-premise option if you select the professional plan or above, and you can select to have your Ragic database stored on your own servers. There's no additional fee to set up the on-premise plan of Ragic, but the payment method is a little bit different from from the basically the online version. I think if basically you have for the on-premise plan, you would have to pay for it yearly instead of monthly, but there's no additional fees regarding like the price. So if you select the professional plan, and if you select the professional plan, then you'll still be paying for the same price as the online plan on your on-premise plan. And there's also a minimum limit on how many users you must have in your database. I think you must at least have 10 users if you would like to select the on-premise plan. Yeah, I just checked it. There's a minimum needed for minimum 10 users needed, and your fee has to be paid annually or yearly. All right, I'm looking into Taiwan, so it's 9:35 a.m. right now. Let's get this webinar started. So, just like most of my webinars, I'll be creating a new sheet from scratch, and in this webinar, I'll try to design as many fields as possible on one sheet to show you how to do the different field applications and settings. And for this sheet I'm going to create, it will be more of like a client information sheet or a user general information sheet. And let me just create a new sheet real quick. Save this tab. Oops. Client information. Create. And I'm not using any of the quick templates. I'm going to create everything by my own from scratch. All right, for a client information sheet, basically I'll be recording all the information of a client for one record. I would personally start with a unique field, such as like a code, unique code, or basically one value that could definitely identify a user person. So instead of using the name, which you may have quite a few users having the same names, such as James Smiths or Will Johnsons. Well, in this case, I would create a field called the auto-generate field. So I'm just going to call it client code. And on the field type, instead of free text, there's a field called the auto-generate field. What this field does is it generates the value based on a numerical sequence that you can customize it yourself. In terms of customizing the sequence, it will be done in the formatting here. So my ideal sequence would be such as four numerical values onto the thousandths digit, but I like to have this called the ID client ID dash, and then your records will automatically populate the values in terms of the formatting. So after I do this formatting when I create a record, it will basically show that automatically populate at like the value client ID dash and then the four digit number. So since this will be automatically populated with a sequence, therefore this field will be a unique value. We'll have unique values to identify which users you have, basically, which users are in this database, basically. And then now I can go further into the other fields. So I'll definitely need a first name for a client, the last name for a client, which could be all in free text because basically you're just entering the naming values. Date of birth. Now sometimes Ragic automatically guesses the fields that you are trying to create. So when I enter date, it automatically changes to a date field, as you can see right here, and also on the sheet where you see like the formatting. The default format of a date field is in this format, year/month/date, but I could change the formatting. And there's different format types that I could use, and also I could incorporate a time field here. So I'm personally more familiar with the default format, so let's keep it that way. And there's also quite a few options with the date field, which I can apply, but I'm not going to apply because I'm just going to show the date of birth for this client. You can display the time field as time ago. So if you add let's say you have a date of birth, and then it's such as like it might be like 3 days ago, it would display as on your Ragic records, it will display as how long ago it was, like such as 3 days ago, 4 days ago. Display as a countdown is pretty self-explanatory. And clock in is a feature that allows you to click on the field, and it will show you, it will record the time once you click on it. All right, and the next field I would like to enter is called the email field. And yes, it also basically it automatically guesses that I'm going to use an email field. This is also a special field in Ragic. One thing it does is that it will basically try to determine when you're entering values while creating your records. It will determine that whether this is an email, you're entering an email or a value in the email format or not. And if it's not in the email format, then it will prevent you from seeing the record. Phone number. Phone number is also the phone field is also a special field type in Ragic, which you can also change the formatting of your phone numbers. And there's a lot of like some of the phone formatting of the different countries. However, especially for our case, since we have clients all around the world and different countries do have different formats, such as even in Taiwan, your phone could be in a variety of different digits. So I like to keep it in the default format. And the next one, I'm going to call it type of membership. Now, when I enter type, Ragic automatically guesses this field as a selection field. Now, a selection field is that it automatically produces a doesn't automatically, but you can set a drop-down menu and then enter your choices. Basically, the choices I set here, your users will basically select from the drop-down menu, which displays all my choices. So type of membership, I'm just gonna go bronze, silver, gold, diamond, emerald. And then basically this will be the selections when you are entering the data and modifying the fields for types of membership. And website doesn't automatically guess the field that I'm trying to use, but I'm going to use it as a URL field. So you'll have to enter the value in this URL format. Address. Yes, address is also a field that in Ragic. And one thing I personally like to do with the address field is to have it span longer, because usually addresses are in a very, very long, I'd say wide line. So it would be great if you allow more space instead of having it skipping to the next few next lines and then having cut it between, but it's not presented in the ideal way. Now I'm just let me go here. That's it. Client logo. So if you would like to upload an image for your clients, basically there's also a field called the image upload field. But with this field, you can upload an image of your clients. And there's also quite a few modifications that you can use. Hide the field header, basically hides your field header. Stretch, shrink to fit cell, fix image max size, keep original size of the image. Basically, these are how you would like to display your images on your Ragic database, and of course max width and max height. Regarding, there's a new feature called the multi-images upload, is that in one field you can upload multiple images if this option is ticked. So if this option is ticked, then basically in this field I can upload as many images as I like. But I think it's rare to upload quite more than one logo for a client. I'm guessing. And this one I'm going to call the next field I'm going to design. I would like to call it documentation. Now, documentation, for my guess is that you might need to upload such as contracts, agreements. This field that you can use in file upload field. So in this field you can basically upload documents to this specific record. And yeah, quite a few options that you can select from here, or you can even have filtered by the extension, the file name extension, such as you would only like to use the DOC file, PDF file, etc. Now let's save this right here. And as I was going with my field designs, you may have seen that there are these options for basically every field. Now, making it unique means that this field on this sheet, no records can have duplicated values on the selected field. So for example, with my client code, I would like to have set it as unique. Although it's basically, when it's auto-generate field, it's most likely unique unless you make some modifications to the sequence. And if it's read-only, then that means that it's not editable on this sheet. That the selected field is not editable on this sheet, which I could also apply this to this auto-generate field, read-only. So this field can only be automatically generated instead of modifying it manually. Column span, which is I just did on the address. The address, there's a do not clone, which is when you're trying to clone a record on the same sheet. This field will not be clonable. No wrap text, so basically it doesn't wrap your text. It will be flowing. And you can also set it to display as a barcode or make it hidden. Alright, according to Samuel, you want me to dip deeper into multiple images. Basically, if one record needs multiple images, then after selecting multi-images upload, you'll be able to upload multiple images to that same field. And you'll be uploading multiple images to that same field, and then all your images will be displayed on that field. So if everything needs multiple pics, then that's perfectly fine, as long as you still have the file storage space for your upload information. And if you really have a lot of images that you need to use, I would suggest making this field bigger, such as using the column span, or simply just dragging this bigger. Just dragging this row or column bigger. For example, let me get this. Yep, like that. So you have a bigger space. However, this will also affect your field towards on the same row. All right, so let me quickly create of course, this is not a completed client information sheet, as there's also quite a few more other fields that I would like to talk about, and also more applications such as formulas. But let's create a simple record real quick right here. Save this design, exit. Now let's create a new information sheet. Refresh this page. So as you can see, this field is read-only. I can't modify it. I can't modify this, but this is generated as this is generated automatically. So first name, I'm just gonna use my Fabio Quo date of birth, type of membership, bronze, website. So, and then as you can see right here, you can upload the different images and upload for the client logo and upload the different documents for documentation. So how to format the display? It will be displayed on the fields right here, and it will be displayed in the field that you've created right here. So the first thing to format your display, if you need a bigger space for your display, then you need to first of all create a bigger field, such as a widening your fields or using column span will help massively. And also, like, regarding the formatting the display, it will be going to the design field and checking the options there and basically selecting the different options there. But unfortunately, this is not like it's not like Google Photos or any like those photo collages software. It won't be, the display will be more in terms of like will be focusing on the record rather than on the images. So if you would like to have a display like let's say like on your photo, I can't find the word for it, but basically like a photo display software, then you will have to design your sheet accordingly and focus on the images, such as making the image field very, very big, but only have some supplementary fields to basically support with the naming or the identification of the photo. Let's save this for now. And yeah, unfortunately, due to confidentiality, I do not have the images and the files uploaded, but they could be easily used in your database. They could be easily uploaded in your database by clicking on this button and this button. And regarding the address, if you have a real address, then you can also click on this button to show it on the map. Unfortunately, this is not a real address, so it won't show. And I can click on this link to go to the website, and also click on this to email the person. I'm using it on a Mac, so the email will be done on the mail application, the mail software. Yeah, not on like the Gmail or the mail, like the mailing services provided on the browsers or via URL. All right, let's go deeper in this design and see what modifications we can also do. One thing I like to add is probably like a company name right here, because I had like a client logo, so it'll be referred to a company client. So maybe a company name will be better. And right here, I would probably like to insert a row to have a. So there's another separation here. To insert a row, basically you just right click on any field, and then you can see all these options right here. All right, and right now let's create a subtable to show how the subtable works. Basically, a subtable is for organizing one-to-many relationships. So for this for this sheet, I'm going to basically create a subtable for the probably like the plans purchase. So plan time length price per time unit. Oops. Total. All right, and now so imagine this is a company purchasing a specific plan for their organization. So of course I could do more modifications with this field. I'm just going to do a simple subtable field right here. So in terms of months, I would like to change this field type to a normal numeric field. And regarding the price per unit, as you can see, there's a $sign in front of this. So it's a monetary field, which is basically a numeric field that is generated in terms of monetarily wise. And the total field is also a numerical field. Based in the subtable field selections, the field type selections are identical as the normal or independent fields on the top of it. And the next crucial part for the field application I would like to talk about is the use of formulas. Now you can use formulas on any fields as long as you set them correctly. So if I would just like to calculate the total price, I can name it the total price, and change this into a monetary field. To calculate, click on the field you have selected, click on the formula option, and select and basically enter the formula you'd like to use. Formulas are always referenced by the field headers, and then you do not need to start with an equal button. So it works very similar to Excel spreadsheets if you're familiar with Excel, but it doesn't have to start with the equal button. So for this, it's just a total price of this. It will be B14 multiplied by C14. You can see that there's an FX here showing that there is a formula reference. Then this will be basically the subtable calculation. Independent fields can also be referenced to a subtable. So if I want to calculate the grand total of their plan selected, grand total, to calculate the sum of one specific field, then I just need to calculate by just enter D14. This will be the sum. Basically, the grand total will populate the sum of the total price field. Another thing that you can also do with formulas is connecting text. So if I want to connect the full name of this person, I'll just need to create a full name field. Full name. And although this is free text, I can still link these two fields up together by going to formulas. A4 plus, and then you add these sort of like these parentheses with a space in between, specifying that you would like a space in between the two values, plus A5. Save. And after creating a new, especially after creating a new field or modifying your sheets after creating formulas, and you already have already have records before your design. If you want to have them automatically display correctly, I would personally always click on apply all formulas to this sheet on all saved records. What this does is it recalculates all the formulas on this sheet for all the records in your database that's already there. So I'll click on this, and then it does the recalculation. Let's click on save. Let's see. So basically this full name field it has already connected my text right here correctly. And regarding the values here, if I select a plan, let's say Southern rental, A time 24 a month, price per unit 4,000. 24 months. So all the values are now calculated here and here. I should also add a dollar sign there and make it a monetary field. Let me change the formatting right here. That's also one thing. What's amazing with Ragic is that the flexibility of Ragic is amazing, because when you see a thing that you would like to change, even as you process your database in the future, even if you have like the sheet for about 2 or 3 years, but you would like a small change for it, just go to the design mode as a sysadmin and change anything that you would like to do. And of course, I could also add more things if I would like to, such as adding a discount value, adding more conditions, and more things. Now, one thing that it comes in handy is a field called rate conversion. So if I would like to convert this grand total field into another currency, there's actually an exchange rate field, and then it will automatically fetch the latest exchange rate during the time of your sheet creation. So it will change the currency from any of the currencies you would like. So if I would probably like to, let's say US dollars to euros. And then you find the code for your, basically you find the code for the currency that you would like to use, then you automatically get the rates, the current exchange rate. And then you can reference to that rate field when you're trying to convert the pricing or the numerical or the price values to another currency. Just click. I should also make this. I should also add the formulas for the grand total in terms of the rate conversion. So C19 multiplied by C20. And let's add then basically this field is then converted correctly afterward. Now there's also some other field types that I would like to talk about right here. Although this sheet might not be displayed, not be designed in the manner that you would like, the ideal manner, but let's go to this field. Now in Ragic, there's one other special type of field. It's called the user assigned select user field. So I'm just, for example, assign sales. Now, if your users are already in your database and you would like to assign this specific record to that a specific person in your database, which is a user in your database, then there's a select user field right here, or there's also a select group I'll talk about later. And if you would like that user to be the entry manager, so when you select that user, he or she will be in charge of this entry completely, select this option. If you would like multiple users to be the entry managers of this specific record, select multiple select. And if you would like users to review this record, which means that they will receive an email inviting them to basically view this record, select this option, invite user to review this record. Defaulted to current user, meaning that if the user created will be defaulted as a person who's assigned, but you can still change it if you would like to. Now another different field is called the select group field, which means instead of assigning to a specific user as one person, you can assign this record to a specific user group in your Ragic sheet. And all the users in that group will be notified and they will be able to use this record. And there's also quite a few other fields that are very handy in Ragic, such as instead of one selection, you can do multiple select. There's a checkbox field, which basically, I'm just creating another field and show you all the different field formattings of other fields. So let's say checkbox is a no or a yes, and it will display as the icon, or there are more icons that you can use by clicking on field types. There's quite a few right here you can select if you would like to use, but usually most people just select to use no or yes. Select from another sheet. This is link and load, which I've talked about this in my previous webinars about how to go forward with link and load. Basically, you're linking to another sheet and then selecting records from another sheet and populating the related data. File upload, image upload, I've just explained it before. Recurring date is basically like a date that is it's a date that is recurring. So if I select this, it'll be such as monthly, weekly, the date will be recurring, yearly, weekly, or monthly, depending on how you would like to use. This becomes really handy if you're using reminders. I'll talk about reminders afterward in terms with my date of birth field. Numeric percentage is basically changing the numeric field into the percentage field. A signature field is also really crucial if you have a sheet for contracts. What it does is that it creates a space for your users to simply sign on their phones when they're viewing this record, or simply on the sheet database, and there's a space that'll pop out. Actually, I should have a signature field right here, and I'll show you how it works. And after I save this, let me just keep going with other fields. Rich text editor, which is instead of having your users enter their data in the format you decided, there's more customizations they could do as a user. Barcode, basically a field that's displayed barcode, which if you have like a barcode scanner, it will be very handy. It will be handy when you're using your Ragic database. Mask text, well, basically mask your text, so it's such as for passwords or for more confidential information. And other field types, the money, exchange rate. Reviewer, it's similar to a select user field and then allow user to review. Email, phone address, URL, And the last one, special format, is there's other field formatting that you can use, and you can just simply enter the format that you would ideally want to present your data, and such as we also have some formats that you can select, such as a bank account, credit card, etc. They can all be selected right here. Oops. Now let's modify this sheet a bit, sort of like to make this look more appealing. So one thing that you can make your sheet more customized is to change the styles. Now regarding the styles, you can change the label and the value. So let's do this for this company field. I can make the label with a bold text, change the text, change the alignments, change the fonts, and the same thing can be done with the value styles. Also we can change the color of the text and the color of the background. If you would like to select a field, select a theme for this sheet, click on select theme, and then it will apply to all the fields in terms of the theme selected. So there's quite a few themes, default themes that you can use. It automatically colors in your fields, change the fonts, change the font colors, etc. So if I select this one, Super Bowl, now it changes the colors and the fonts and also like the bordering. If you do not like this, and after modification and want to start all over, simply clear style off all fields and remove the theme. Now everything's back to normal. It's back to normal, and you're starting your field style design from scratch. And finally, let me show you how the signature field works. So if it's on your browser on the Ragic sheet, after clicking on this, you can draw with your mouse, or your mouse is probably weird. So then you can sign it right here. If it's on your phone, then it's just like drawing it on your phone with your finger. You'll have a screen such as like this here. So if I'm just going to sign Fabio, it's actually pretty hard to sign with my mouse pad. And then save, and then now what I sign will be displayed sort of like an image format onto the signature field. Yeah, please bear with my terrible handwriting via the drawing on the what do you call it, the screen, I guess. All right, and in terms of field formatting, let me add my company right here, just for. In terms of the field formatting, if you would like to have different fields displayed, you have fields displayed differently for different users, then one thing that comes in really handy is called multiple versions. Multiple versions, you can find it in Form Tools. Click on multiple versions, and then use the same data source, meaning that it will basically share the data source onto the other sheet. Duplicate sheet, client information. I'm just going to call it copy. So currently these two sheets are identical, but I can format this sheet differently, such as I want to hide specific information, such as all the subtable fields. Just click hidden. Just want to hide this, and I also do not want to display the signature for this sheet. So I'll delete this field and I'll realign this field. Company, yeah, basically just changing the alignment of all the fields, or even changing the styles. I'll select a theme for this one. Now, as you can see, this sheet is completely different. Looks quite different from the client information, the original client information sheet. However, they still share the same. They still share the same fields and the same data. And you can also change. So if you change the names and if you basically change the settings, they still share the same. They still share the same data, unless it's too much of a drastic change, such as a different field display or a different field formatting. For example, if your monetary fields, you may have selected to have one have with decimal places, one do not, then there will be some more changes there. How do you determine if this field and another field is identical? Well, there's always a field ID here. If two fields share the same ID, it means that those two fields are the same. So let's say for example, the client code field, it has a field ID 1000751. Now back on the original client information sheet. Let's go to client code and go to basic. Oh, it's also 1000751. So this means these two fields are shared. Let me click on Snake. So if I would like to, like in between your sheet designs, if you would like to add a new field from another sheet, you simply click on Form Tools, click on the client information sheet, and I can just simply drag the signature field, which I've just deleted, back down here. Or if it's a subtable field, I can click on this and select the subtables. The subtable fields, but I already have my subtable fields, it's just hidden right here. Alright, is there a way to set a field for expiry date and prompts you to take an action 6 months before the expiry date? It keeps prompting you until an action to change the date when the deadline has passed. If you're referring to like sort of like a reminding the clients to modify something based on the date, then this thing, as I mentioned, this should be done with a reminder. So this is how reminder works: is you have a date field, go to form settings, reminders, and then you can set it. For example, I have a date of birth here, and then such as 30 days before the date of birth, I can create a reminder email saying, basically, first of all, a reminder. This should be called birthday. Use your birthday gift card. And then you'll remind the user in the email field. So you'll send a reminder via an email, and then you can customize the reminder. Oops, I haven't saved this reminder. Add reminder here. Click on this reminder. Customize reminder email. Subject, changing the subject. I'm going to change the subject. Reminder name. Use your birthday gift cards, and it will organize an email of the reminder. The email to the client, and basically it will remind them to use their birthday gift card. And I can change the content as well. In Ragic, the default is the record summary, but I can change it to such as using it as a setting it as like I'd say like a birthday best wishes or something like that, using the reminder tools. So for user KS slow, if it's 6 months before the expiry date, you can simply create a reminder for your users, and then set it as 6 months, which should be like 180 days before the expiry date. Let me just save this for now. Default source settings for a subtable. All right, let me go back to my subtable. So basically, you can sort right here. You can always sort your data right here, and then just sort and filter as well, and then save. You can in this option you can select save current subtable and subtable filter and sort as default. This will be the default settings when you enter your records, but it's not like you cannot apply a fixed filter for your subtable records. All right, let me create a new record right here. And that's one thing if you're familiar with BBCodes, then this will be very handy. This will be really handy for you when you're creating records in Ragic. So, for example, instead of another website on a URL field, I would like to set it as use a BBCode, and then on the company name, if I would like others to click on the company to enter my company address for SEO purposes or familiarity purposes. I can use BBCodes for this company field. So setting as a URL tag, URL equal www.ragic. Ragic. Now automatically, instead of like a normal text, it now automatically has like a link, sort of like a link formatting here, a link display formatting here. Save and then click on this. Oops, can't open this page because I've already logged in. Basically, after clicking on this, it will automatically go to the link that you've specified on your BBCode tag. Users could be able to do this as well. Do this when they're entering information when they're creating records. So do you have to do that individually for each record? No, because as you can see right here, this is already a completely new record, but it has already the default sort right here as well. You can see the sort, which is this should be in ascending order that I just done by default. It'll be shown right here. And if there's a filter, then there will be this icon right here showing that there's a filter applied right here. All right, and finally, let me go back to my original sheet. This will be in form settings, but I think it's really very crucial if you would like to import your data in the future. This is called, go to form settings. This is called the title field and the selection title field. Now, basically, the title field specifies the title of your record when you're such as downloading an Excel of this sheet or downloading a PDF. However, the selection title field is very important when you're trying to import data to this sheet, especially when you have subtables. Because right now, if you're importing data to a subtable, you would need to have your Excel rows. to map the first columns to match the selection title field. So you have to assign your ideal selection title field. I can select from different fields right here, but I would suggest your selection title field will be a field that is set as unique. So for this case, I would say the client code is the best field because it's an auto-generated field. There's no duplication. It has to be unique. And just go through other key field settings. You can set the field as not empty. So if any field can be set as not empty, so you must have values on this field before saving the sheet. Setting a default value, and quite a few different options you can do, or just simply type in your options saying Ragic is the default value when you're creating your data. So let's see how this works. Now automatically populates Ragic right here because it's a default value, but I could change this. However, if I leave it as blank, it blocks me from saving it. And also on the email field, which I forgot to mention previously, if it's not in the correct email format. This is definitely not an email. It doesn't have the @, it doesn't have the domain name. Field email contains invalid email address. Because it is not an email field, it prevents me from saving this record. So the different field types allows you to have different validations when you're saving records. Comes in really handy when you're making sure that your data is managed in the correct manner. I can't save this, so let me just leave right here. And as mentioned in my previous webinar, you can also modify the fields display on the listing page, which basically displays all the selected information of all records. But you can select which fields that you would like to display while going into the design mode of your listing page, and then use the listing page field picker to display to assign which fields that you would like to show. So I don't want to show the first name and last name. I just want to show the full name. I deselect them, select them back here. Client logo. And rearrange them. Click save. In terms of rearranging, I can also drag fields to have them rearranged. Or I can just simply delete them, and then they'll be gone. One thing that you have to keep in mind is that on the listing page, every field has to be on the top, and it has to be next to each other. So you cannot have a listing page with a blank field in between, or anything that looks that's not in the correct format, such as you cannot have such as a complete blank space between records. That's not doable in Ragic. One thing you can do is you can insert a row which is empty but it has no values on the top. Or one customization that you can do is to add a description field, and it'll have a static text right here. So this might act as a title, a title under like your ideal title, which is displayed directly on your sheet. Again, as mentioned before, there's also other customizations that you can do with your description fields. Changing the fonts, making the font size bigger, saving it. So now you'll see that my listing page is now changed, and every field can be used as a filter on the listing page. So you can filter by text, clear filter, sort. You can do the sort as well. So for the fields that need to be displayed on the listing page, I would suggest them to be as the fields that you would need to constantly apply different filters or sorts in order to display your data in the correct format that you would like to use. So for this case, if I would like to filter in terms of the what do you call this? The types of membership, then it's best to have that field display on the listing page first. So it's easier to filter via the field headers. And talking about the memberships, one thing that I would like to mention before the end of this webinar is there's an option called the cascaded selections. So I can create another selection field called plan. Let's call this plan type for now. Actually, I would like to insert a row right here. Whoops, doesn't want to be a description field. Change it to a free text. Plan type. Instead of like a normal selection field, I would like to set cascaded selections, which can be a set related to and cascaded to the types of membership selection field. So set the selections right here. B1, B2, B3, S1, S2, S3. So regarding the plan type, your selections will be displayed in related to the types of membership. So let me leave this place right now. Right now, you do not have any matched options here because you haven't selected the type of membership. But if I select type of membership right here, and I select the plan type, I have B1, B2, B3. This is the cascaded selection in terms of the types of membership. If I change the type of membership right here, so changing into diamond, D1, D2, D3. So this is how the cascaded selections work. So it will be come in handy when you select like the users or locations of a specific selected regions, offices, or anything that has like a selection under a selection. This is how you work, and it comes really handy when this comes. So I guess this is basically I've finished talking about the most key field applications and settings. We've gone through different field types, how to use different fields, setting the different formulas, using default values and field formatting, etc. These could be all applied on your Ragic sheets if you need it, and I would say most of them are pretty handy depending on what your process or what your workflow is. So this is basically, we're coming to the end of our webinar, and feel free to ask me any questions. I'll stay here for a while. Any questions regarding this webinar, any suggestions, or even any questions with your database in general. Feel free to just type in your questions, and I'll answer you during this stream if I could do so. But if it's in quite a lot of detail, and And in terms of different customization workflows, then please click on the Need Help button, which allows us to have access to your database, and we can try to provide you with a solution, customized solution for your needs. Can we view the content of the PDF file uploaded? Yes. I think I could do this in probably like the next webinar, but if I on the file upload field, if I upload a PDF here, it will be shown while hovering onto this, and will be shown on the right of your database. Unfortunately, I do not have a PDF file on hand that is displayable publicly, but you do not have to download the file. But yes, you can view this. Yes. It's also the same for images as well. So if you upload an image, you would like to have it displayed. It can be you take a clearer view at it on an image while when it's uploaded onto a Ragic database. Simply hover on them, and it will also be displayed with a bigger image on the right of your database screen. And also, I think that regarding like the display, I think it also works for Word documents as well, and some certain types of documents, if I remember them correctly. Well, I'll have to check, but that PDF file definitely works. It's not a big deal. Our pleasure is to help our Ragic users to understand Ragic and customize their own database to the best of their needs to fit their ideal requirements and workflows. So feel free to ask us any questions when needed. You can ask me during our webinars, or send us the support ticket via the Need Help button located on the top right corner. Or simply just shoot us an email at support@ragic.com if it's more generalized questions, I'd say. And if you have just started to create a Ragic account, I would highly suggest you guys to use the 30-day free trial, which allows you to use your Ragic database for 30 days with the professional plan for free. And by doing that, you can first of all, understand how Ragic works. Second of all, understand if Ragic fits your database. And third of all, just simply get started with designing your own database. And what's great about Ragic is that when you're using the free trial, you do not need to have your credit card you have to enter your credit card information during that time, so you won't have to worry about funds deducted from after using the free trial for 30 days. If you would like to pay for the future, then that's another payment method. I'll be here for around 2 or 3 more minutes. If you guys have any questions, just feel free to ask any questions, and it will not only help you, it will also help me as well, and also for other users who will be not just in this webinar right now, but also reviewing this webinar in the future. A demo video showing how a complete and fairly complex application built in Ragic. You can. It's not like a complete, very complex database, but in our previous webinars, I've went through such as the basic design process of our database, and how to apply other tools in the design of our database. So feel free to view our previous webinars to basically see how how to build a database system. Oh, and by the way, on our YouTube channels, we have quite a few new tutorial videos on there. Feel free to check them out. They could also be very helpful. Alright, if there are no other questions, I guess this is a great time to conclude our webinar. And thanks for all your contribution and your participation. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you next week. And just as a reminder, any questions, feel free to shoot us an email or click on the Need Help button to submit a support ticket. And thank you. See you guys next month.